So originally I was going to make this video for just my gym clients, but I decided, if it could help somebody else out there, then I'll go ahead and post it. So the point of this video is talking about efficiency and your mindset, what you should be thinking when people are trying to do certain things against you in jiu-jitsu. And specifically here, we're thinking about maybe someone trying to pass your guard and get side control. That's like a super common situation in jiu-jitsu, and one that I see some people struggling with in my gym as far as the efficiency and the techniques that they're using. So the whole reason that we do jiu-jitsu is for like a smaller person to beat a bigger person, someone with less attributes to beat someone with greater attributes. So we always want to be efficient in our technique, use mechanical advantage and things like that. So if we're thinking about somebody passing the guard, I want us to think about that, use this analogy of somebody is pouring concrete at that point, all right? So the concrete can be manipulated, it can be formed, it can be moved, there's gonna be gaps in it, things like that. So when someone's trying to pass your guard, this is the opportunity for you to use your frames and your wedges, getting your hands, elbows, knees, feet, inside leg, outside leg, high legs, all these things. This is when those opportunities are there for you to prevent somebody from getting to side control. Okay, and this can be quite a battle where you use a lot of energy to keep somebody off. But again, we're trying to use that mechanical advantage by framing properly and keeping that space so that it negates attribute deficiencies or, just gravity in general of somebody trying to come around your guard. So in order for them to solidify their side control, they're going to need a few things. Some kind of hip control, whether it be hip on hip, the hand back blocking the hip once they've gotten around the legs, chest on chest, head and arm, right? Or just head and under the far hip, but some kind of upper body control that controls the head and chest, the weight's down on them, and something to block the hip. All right, once somebody has gotten to that position and locked it down, we can think about that as the concrete has hardened at this point. Now it's going to be very difficult for us to escape. And this is where I see the biggest inefficiency in jiu-jitsu in my students, and it is almost a panicked flail, explode, push, pull, twist, everything they can not to get pinned. And this is not the time to do that. This is such a great waste of energy, and it also makes for just a terrible roll. Like, nobody wants to roll with someone who is just exerting so much energy and exploding, trying to get out like it's life or death, right? We need to use technique here. So when someone is in this position, there are things that we can do, right? This is where we're trying to find little cracks in that hardened concrete, right? Trying to wedge my elbow down in between, get my hand in between their arm and my head, getting my hand on my chest to get ready to dig it under for an underhook, bringing my knee to their hip. So as soon as there's a gap, my knee can wedge in and start to create that distance that we want. Now, I don't think you should just lay there, right? We can kip, we can make small bridges, things like that to create these gaps in that side control. But we can't be in a panicked state. If I'm grunting at this point and holding my breath, if I look like somebody who's maxing out on bench press when someone has me in side control, I'm doing it wrong. That's just an easy way to be able to tell if you are using too much energy. Am I grunting? Am I holding my breath? Is my blood pressure going through the roof? Are veins sticking out of my neck? You're doing it wrong. You have to take your time here to get out of this pin, all right? The next thing I talk about is there may not be an opportunity to get your wedges in at this point. And if you are, let me back up a little bit, if you are exploding so hard to escape with all of your life, the guy on top isn't going to move. he's just going to lock you down and hold on to you. There's no reason for him to move. If he does move, you're probably going to escape, right? Because you're fighting so hard. So the guy on top is just going to hold you down and make you wear yourself out, right? Now, all of this is in the context of training in the gym or submission only. If points are involved, it's a little bit different depending on the time. How many points are you up? Are you down? We're not talking about that right now. So this guy has me in side control. I need to be slowly trying to get my wedges in and not exploding, or else they're just going to hold me and make life hell. Now, the next opportunity to escape is one that you need patience in. But remember, when they were passing the guard, there was a lot of movement, right? They're trying to come around the legs and get to you. And that's where space is. Where there's movement, there's going to be space, typically. At least more space than if someone was just rock solid on a side control pin. So the opportunity to escape would be when somebody is trying to transition to their next technique. Let's say they're going to slide to mount. As they're moving to mount, here is the opportunity. One, to find a gap, bring a knee in, some kind of frame, wedge, a bridge and roll, things like that. Or if you can't find that opportunity to completely escape at that time, when somebody is moving, they will leave a gap. This is an opportunity to advance your position with frames, right? Bringing my knee in, my elbow to my knee, things like that, to try to then create more space. Okay, so I think this is a very important thing that people need to keep in mind when trying to make their jiu-jitsu as efficient as possible. And like I said, that's kind of the point of jiu-jitsu. If you're only trying to explode and use strength and a ton of energy to beat your opponent, what you're saying is anyone who has more strength than you, or maybe more endurance than you, is probably going to beat you, right? Because you don't have the proper tools and techniques to beat someone with greater skill than you. All right, so I urge everybody to take your time, think through techniques and positioning instead of just using pure force and explosion and physical attributes to try to escape.